Yo, what's good, y'all? You dub back here again in 2020. Let's get it. April was moving right along. As I was saying in a previous video, you know, normally the first half of the year kind of drags, going all the way back to my childhood, but this year it's moving like the second half of the year. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. With all circumstances being the way that they are. The thing is, man, if this is your first time on one of these videos. I would definitely suggest these other videos in the playlist of Unfiltered. They range, I've done all kinds of controversial topics, but I'm fair and objective, and I'm honest with y'all. If you already are subbed to my channel, you know how I get down. If you are new here, then welcome. Thank you for stumbling upon it because YouTube does not like me, does not like the way I put out my content. I don't play. I don't play out here. I don't cater, I don't kowtow. In these segments, specifically these unfiltered segments, they're completely 100% raw, uncut, unvarnished. Now I already keep it real. I'm already keeping 1,000 at all times. But these videos really break down and go in depth with subjects not too many people are really talking about, to the point to where they understand, whether it be historical relevance, talking about the gay agenda, to fascism, to some philosophical developments, and beyond, and modern, what's really going on, understanding power and things of that nature. And if there's any other discussions, I may cover it, whether in this series or in just a regular video. These videos, I take my time in determining what the kind of content we're going to be doing because they're more specific. Now, deep diving. This series of video is a follow up to the most recent episode that dropped a few days ago, if I'm not mistaken, uh, of Unfiltered, episode 10. And that was dealing with men in work. Well, now we're in women in work. And one of the subscribers, one of the commenters, had asked me, yo, so what about women in work? And I'm like, I wasn't planning on doing that, but it's a reasonable question. And I had said specifically that men in work is much different from how women in work. Some of these things you'll see are similar answers, some of these are different statements. Now, before I get into the actual statements and what they entail on a woman's life, understand that women in work is not indicative of a woman's life the same way it is of a man's. With men, for a small recap, with men in work, it encompasses holistically a man's life. How he views work showcases 70% of how he views the rest of his life. The five important areas of his life: romantic and or sexual relationships, regardless if he's single, regardless of his sexual orientation, doesn't really matter. His view with regards with children, self-identity, uh, interaction with the world and society and the world at whole, as well as utility. Women don't view work the same way that men do. Shocker, I know, grand shocker. The thing about it is, you gotta understand. It's said that men have a waffle brain and women have a spaghetti brain. It's not meant to be dismissive. It's just we think differently or we're hardwired differently. Men compartmentalize and need to be compartmentalized in how they interact with the world. Women, everything touches. And from hormonally to otherwise physiologically as well as psychologically, everything's interconnected. One thing that could have happened with work could connect to another with the children or different stuff. Both men and women also process and may internalize, but women internalize it in a much generally more hurtful way. For men, it's usually a build up, build up, build up. For women, not so much. Either that or she's a lot more volatile. See, with men and their actions, is there's a lot more crazy and insane on the men's side. Like a men and their general actions border on the extremes. Women don't generally do so, which is why a lot of times a lot of the greatest inventions, not all of them, but a lot of the greatest inventions, a lot of the greatest exploration, a lot of the greatest businesses and what have you are created by men. Same thing with artistry. Women are usually generally in a more comfortable. Women seek comfort. Um, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing for domesticity. It's a good thing to keep alive. Also, how we're hardwired to what we desire and whatnot. Men for generally more protection and provision, guidance. That's how a man shows love. A woman doesn't. It's much different. Um, but anyways, when you say what all that being said, you got to understand that the framework that women come from. Obviously, I'm a man. I'm not a woman, but I observed women had a pretty good amount of experience with women, to say the least. And friends with most of my friends ever since I was 16 have been females. So I listen to them. I talk with them. I gain knowledge from older women, from women older myself, peers, and whatnot. And when I was in my later adolescence, my female friends who were usually a few years younger than me, I knew them better than they knew themselves at the time. Some women have found that offensive when I said at the time. It's just understanding oneself. A lot of them hadn't come to the point of self awareness, and they were just on the journey of self discovery or hadn't even thought about it. So I could tell what was going on with them at that time, right? Also because younger sisters, as well as peers, as well as older female friends and whatnot from my brother's era and stuff. So just observation. Now, you say all of this to say what? Women come from a different framework of mind. It's in all areas. So because they come in a different framework of mind and because their hardwiring is differently, they don't view work the same. Work is essential in a man's life, right? Work is not inherently essential in a woman's life. It doesn't mean a woman can't work. It doesn't mean she doesn't want to work, doesn't want to do things, but it's not as needed. You can say, wait a second. So what is a woman left with? Good question. To do what they want to do. See, for men will go out there and do the by and large more dangerous jobs because they see the benefit. Women generally won't. Those jobs out there in the elements and stuff, women generally won't do that unless it's absolutely necessary. A man will take the risk, especially if it's lucrative. A woman generally doesn't think like that. They will do something that they prefer, something that's generally safer, something that's generally more in their wheelhouse, in their comfort zone. Men, work needs to be done. Get her done. Now, of course, there are different personality types, and there are women who will get it done. But like I said, that's out of more necessity. It's kind of like if you're a fan of Dragon Ball, where you have Gohan who fights generally more out of necessity rather than Son Goku and Vegeta who fight because they love that shit. You know what I'm saying? So I had to say all that out the way, and without further ado, let's get into the list and see where things differ. For women in work, it'll be like, while men had five aspects of it, women, it'll affect five, but not in the same way. Okay. So the first two areas that the work will impact them is the same as men: romance, relationships, things of that nature. Again, no matter the sexuality, sexual orientation, that's irrelevant. No matter if she's lesbian, bi, straight, heterosexual, pan, doesn't really matter. Secondly, will be with children. Now, here is where it gets interesting. Self identity? Nope. Because a woman's self identity is not found in her work. The problem that we have today is that the feminist, the modern feminist movement has hoodwinked, bamboozled, as some people say, has pretty much put the wool over women's eyes and making them think that their value is found in the work. It's not. It never has been. Now, that doesn't mean that women don't work and can't find fulfillment. The alliteration screw with your tongue sometimes. That doesn't mean that women can't find fulfillment in what they do. It's just not the same as men. Men's identity is linked to partially what they do. Not just what they believe, but what we do. Women aren't men. And when people understand that women aren't men, the world will, wow, gain an enlightenment and epiphany to treat us. We are equal, but we are different. And for those of you wondering, wonder, what the hell do you mean? Women, they can find enjoyment in it. And then, you know how many women do tasks for date? It's a means to an end for women. For men, their work, because of how much effort they pour into it, it's because of how men and women view resources, how men and women view energy. Okay, for women, resources are a means to an end, a means to end of happiness, bliss, ecstasy. Okay, it's not their fulfillment. That's why women, a lot of times, they will get bored easily, or they'll you know, man, I wish I was doing something else, or I wish I was relaxing, I wish I was vacation, I wish I was always something else, always on to the next, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next, unless they are doing something they are completely passionate about. And if that just so happens to be work, cool. The word passion versus men. Men, work, self identity, women, passion. A man can do a job that he's not passionate about. He can have hobbies that he's passionate about. I was watching, believe it was Better Bachelor. We found this channel recently, and he talked about how men have hobbies. Women, not so much. Women don't really have hobbies, and it's weird to me. I'm like, yo, there's many things you can do. Women, not so much. I'm not saying women don't have hobbies, but even if they do, me as a man, I can have 15 hobbies. Or I can have 15 things. Now, people say, well, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you can cut down. Sure, for a time, build up your business, and then a man goes to golf or fish or, you know, shoot guns or whatever. That doesn't mean a woman won't find enjoyment in activities, but she just views them as activities. She doesn't get engrossed. That's why a lot of times for a lot of women, they don't get involved in sports. Like a guy will go out and play ball. A group of guys will go out and play ball, football, basketball, rugby, cricket, baseball, you name it, and just have a good old time. Do some women enjoy those activities? Of course they enjoy the activities, but they don't get engrossed by and large because that's just not how they're wired. So you have relationships, children, passion. Now, are there two more? Sure. Their relation to the world at large. It's different from men though. Men's interaction with society and the world at large is impacted. Women, it's the relation because women are more relational. Now, I'm huge about relationships, but I'm give or take. For women, their relationships are everything. Those who don't want to admit the truth, how many times, if you've ever been on a dating profile, okay, have you ever seen women say, my family, my family, my family, my kids, my kids, my kids? Guys value that, but that's just a different part of his life. He's on a dating profile, whether it be for sex or, romantic relationship, and build that. Them kids and that all of this stuff comes later. But for a woman, all that's part of it. So women in work is relational. Men, they interact. And while closely related, they are vastly different because it's two different paths that you can go. Last but certainly not least, we've had relationship, we have children, we have passion, we have relationship. Last but certainly not least, for a woman, work embodies potential, whether it be potential for status, potential to gain a man, potential to gain wealth, potential for whatever, potential to set up a future. Now, this is a weird thing because on one hand, women look to the future, but at the same time, they'll act in the present. On the other hand, men are the opposite. Men will look at the present, but act towards the future. Now you say, wonder what does that mean? All of this, like I said, the list of women in work will definitely get to in a second. But you got to understand these variables. Men, as a man, if you're a man, think about it. Do you look 5, 10 years down the line? No, because we can't really see that. We're practical, we're logical, rational like that. We see how do we get through the day? How do we make steps towards if we have certain short term, mid term, long term goals? We may have a big goal 2 to 5 years, 10 years down the line, right? Let's say a guy's going for retirement. A woman doesn't operate like that. A woman may see big things with the family, but how does a guy treat me right now? You ever have a conversation between a man and a woman, let's say your coworker, and let's say they were dealing with a breakup. Both of them might be emotional. How do they talk? Now, of course, it depends on who she is, who he is. But in general, have you heard this from a man? Man, I don't understand what the hell happened. Everything was good, everything was great, and then all of a sudden it just I don't even know did I do anything wrong. I don't understand it. Man. Or man, I had to let it go, bro. She was a pain in my ass, bro. A woman on the other hand. I don't understand it. Everything seemed so perfect. It was going so well. What happened? I, I can't believe what happened. Someone's asking. A man is telling you specifically the actions in his state of mind. A woman is emotionally all over the place. See, because a man, remember I talked about how men compartmentalize and women, it's connected. A man is thinking through a number of options. What happened here? What happened here? What happened here? Thinking about the information like a filing cabinet. While the woman, her wires are all crossed and you have to unjumble the wires and get everything back in line. But you also notice how, because how women are versus how men are, women move on generally faster than men do. Now, with all that being said, you could say this is a lot of intertwining because understanding women is men are simple. Women are a hell of a lot more complex, and you have such variety that I'm trying because I know I'm probably talking to men. I'm helping some of y'all younger brothers hopefully understand women a little bit better and how they interact with you, especially if you have female coworkers. Number one, I love my career. Now, for a man, if a man says that, you can go back and listen to what I said about men saying I love my career. But if a woman says that, that's actually not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's not the greatest, but it's not bad. What you're dealing with is you're dealing more with a specific type of woman. See, all of these are a type of woman's mentality. Now you can say, well, weren't those different mentalities in guys? Yes and no. On the men working mentality, his frame of mind is how he's going to interact with those areas that I broke down. For a woman, it's the opposite. Her life, her past, her current experiences are dictating the path on which she's on. So her life is dictating her career rather than for men, it's the other way around. How their life is being impacted because of how they work, because of where they are in life and its ripple effects. Because a lot of a man's life is centered around what he actually does. It's not his whole being, it's not who he is, but it's a large part of what grounds him because he spends most of his time. For women, many women work part time or they do other things outside their job. Their job is just what they do. Right? For men, it's a part of their everyday struggle. Okay. And so the identification is important here. I love my career. So when a woman is happy in what she's doing, how is it going to impact relationships? Well, it can be both positive and negative. Okay. For like with most of these things, almost every one of these can be positive and negative. Some of them can be positive, positive. Some of them can be negative, negative. Once again, Depends on the type of woman that you're dealing with. If she's career minded, that means probably she's not going to really relationships. Those are taking a back burner. Those aren't those aren't her priority. Now, if she's able to balance work and wants a relationship, then she's going to be great. But that's the thing. Does she value the relationship, or has she put substituted work for the relationship? That's what the thing you might have to tangle with a career minded woman. Okay, the same thing with children. Children might be put on the back burner because of her career. Her career is her baby, if you will, right? But if she can balance this out, then it's a beautiful thing. You have an industrious woman who also is a phenomenal mom. Okay, you see the difference between men and women already. Um, when it comes to her passion, is her passion just what she does, or is it an extension of who she is as a person? See what I'm saying? Her career. Is her career just going to consume her completely, or she will find balance? The women who find balance and who are career minded, great. Those who are just career minded and have no balance, they're spiraling. They're going to be off on their own, alone. When it comes to relation to the rest of the world, well, that's what it is. Everything else will become alienated in second place to her career if that's what she values the most. And last but certainly not least, yeah, last but not least, her career, it will begin to, you know, her career will begin to, for the longest time, define her. But the thing is, it won't in the end bring fulfillment. Because why? That's not, again, women aren't men. So the ones that are fooled into thinking, let me just build this, let me just build this, they don't understand. Men naturally need a balance in life, right? Women who, they have to actively work for that balance. Now, a man can get all out of sorts when he doesn't have a balanced life, but most men, their work is just a part of their life. The thing with women is, since they're not focused on the compartmentalization aspect of it, the work can overtake the other aspects of their life and push everything out. You see this happen with children. You see this happen with relationships where they alienate other people. For men, that's usually not the case. Usually, your homies are here, your woman's here if you have one, or your man, whatever your case preference may be. Work is here, kids are here, your nuclear family, and then extended family, and then your co-workers, and all of those are in different aspects. And when we don't want those lines to really cross like that. When they do, you usually have problems. Women have to learn to mellow out. Many are level headed, who are the best with the greatest balance. And that's what they have to do. It's like balancing the force from Star Wars, if you will. Next up, we have number 2. I don't want to work. Once again, this isn't as bad as for men. Here's why. Because when a woman says she doesn't want to work, it's usually because she's exhausted, or something's going wrong, something's emotionally affecting her at what she's doing. Okay? The job just might suck for her and she just wants something else. Um, to provide either more fulfillment, or, better opportunities or whatever. It's just at that moment, things just suck. And we can say it's at that moment because a lot of women, it's very difficult for them to leave what they do, unless they're younger and more opportunistic. It depends also what point in the woman's life. If she's older, they don't typically like to change much. But if she's younger, come and goes. But you see that reflection in her aspects, possibly in the dating game and other aspects of her life. So There is that. Now, as far as in relationships, I don't want to work. Um, she may, in fact, want a man who's more of a provider so she can be a stay-at-home mom. And this connects with children. She may want to spend more time with her kids. Doesn't mean she's a bum inherently. Now, she might be, but normally when a woman says this, she's more focused on wanting to be home or more focused on wanting to do a project that she would rather enjoy than doing this mundane task that she's doing or something that she does feels that she's not that good at. And it's the same thing on passion. When a woman says this, that means she's not invested in what she's doing. She doesn't have a passion. She doesn't have a fire. It's like a woman dealing with a relationship. If they're not invested in the relationship, they're not going to give it their all, right? They're not going to, they're going to be like, what is a better alternative to this? More than likely. Um, when it comes to impacting the world, there's really no impact to the world. There's really no relation to the world because she's just in a temporary situation. And overall, the impact on her, she just wants to do something else. And if she has the option, she will get out as soon as possible. Seen it time and time again. The third statement we have here is I would rather work from home. This is most women, honestly. This is most women. Most women would rather do domestic. And this isn't me saying tradition. No, this is what women tell me. They would say, man, if I could do an Instagram model, if I could model, if I could do this, da 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 da, and balance out my home life, or if I could work from home, if I could raise kids and work and whatever. These are usually your more introverted type of women as well. Not your most so extroverted women or women who, you know, aren't trying to get into the career fields. They want something that will allow them to establish a safety blanket, a safety net, be able to provide for themselves and potentially provide for their families. But, they, instead of having to go off and be away from home and be away from things that they would rather be doing, they want to have everything connected. They want to build up the castle, if you will. Okay. And so, again, this is a simple relationships. Usually, this would allow her to really establish her home life better. You have a lot of homemakers. A lot of them were in long-term relationships. My mom happened to be one, right? You have your stay-at-home moms, if they will allow for men to be in it. Now, that's the ones that don't. That's a whole other topic of discussion. We're not even going to address that here, but that's that person's personal choice. Um, you know, when it comes to children, more time spent with the children, more fulfillment. When it comes to this, stay at home. Usually, it means you can do things, provide, and you don't have to work as many long, arduous hours. Meaning you can have time to do anything you want to, pursue whatever passion that you desire for the most part. Or you can develop a new one as well. When it comes to interactions with the world, where her world's already more insular anyway, so it doesn't so much affect it. And as far as in how she interacts, she would be the most fulfilled and satisfied. She would be happy. She would get everything connected to what she wants for the most part. Um, Next up, I love what I do. This is much different from a man because like I'm indicating, when a man says I love what I do, it's complacency generally. He's settled. When a woman says that, she feels genuinely happy, which means she's a hell of a lot better to work with. If you're a coworker of hers, she means she's happy in other aspects of her life. I don't have to point to all of the other aspects because everything across the board is good. For women, happiness matters more than it does men. Just how it is. Comfort, happiness. Happiness over peace for women. Men would rather be at peace. Women in general, not so much. They would rather be happy. They'd rather be bubbly, joy filled. Whatever brings them that, that's what they're chasing. Men don't chase it because for men, life tends to be harsh. And happiness we don't find in those temporary fleeting moments. Now, the ones that do tend to live very recklessly. Once again, the life of a man and the life of a woman. Women don't tend to act as recklessly as men do. And when they act more recklessly, it usually impacts only them as far as women. Men acting recklessly usually impacts more people. It's just the nature of the beast. Usually. Unless she is got a personal anger issue, which is a whole other aspect, and she's narcissistic and manipulative. Um, then that's a personal flaw of herself. It has nothing to do with her relation with work. Um, Moving on. Let's see. I love to work. Ah, housewife material. This woman is a keeper. If she will agree to be with you, ah, say no more. Say no. Man, I can't tell you how attractive a hardworking woman is. A woman with hard work ethic. Anyone who ever says, "Oh, women are just inherently lazy," that's some bullshit. That's utter nonsense. All right. There are many of the best workers I've ever known are women. Some of the hardest workers I've ever known are women. If now for a woman, she could say multiple one of these. Some of these are kind of connected in what she says. But if she loves to work, man, now, that doesn't mean she lives to work, but if she loves to work, then you know you got a woman that's solid, who's there, who's ready to ride, who understands the value of work, who ain't just gonna up and leave, whether, their friendship. That's a woman that's potential wife material, straight up. Straight up. It says a hell of a lot about her. It says she's diligent, excuse me. She's got character, integrity, and much, much more. With her children, that means she's going to do what it takes to be there for her children. She's not going to be a deadbeat mother. She's not going to be a bum. She's going to do what it takes, and she's going to instill in her children a work ethic. Okay, along hopefully with the dad. And if they happen to break up, that means she's still going to instill a work ethic in children. Passion, you know, she takes the same mentality to whatever she involves in. She may not be good at it. Now, I've known women, they may not be good at the task, but man, they give it their all. And it's a joy to watch. You come to respect it. And you come to really honestly willing to help them out because it's like, damn, you see how much she's busting her ass, or she's there early, she leaves late. As a man, I respect it because it's the kind of qualities you respect in with anybody, really. When it comes to relation with the world, she is valued. She is generally respected by her peers, by other people, and she will get allies to come alongside her and help fight with her or fight for her. Men will come and do things for her because we respect her. And that's just what it is. And she generally respects men because she respects work. There you go. She's great to get along with generally. And last but not least, her happiness factor. Everything not might not be gravy all the time, but she's usually pretty good, unless there are other aspects in her life. These are the women who are honestly generally more masculine, and I mean that in a good way. Like they aren't they're still very feminine, but they have more masculine traits, and this is one of them. They act in some way similar to men, um, but still are feminine. It's a beautiful paradoxical dichotomy. Next up, we have there's so much to do. Now, a woman could be any of the ones above here and still say the statement. There's so much to do translates to she feels overwhelmed. She's feeling overwhelmed. It's a temporary statement. She doesn't see an end in sight, and she wants to go. Um, it impacts relations because if these are constantly see for men, depending on the kind of guy he is, may be able to just take that for a longer while and before he starts breaking down mentally and physically. But women, because their emotions are generally heightened, this impacts them heavily. Like, you know, they want it done and they want it done now. And if it doesn't, it will start stressing them out, or they get anxiety and things. It starts messing with them, and eventually that'll bleed over in their relationship because unless their significant other are able to console, are able to comfort, are able to, de-stress, then she's going to be stressed the fuck out, which will eventually lead to destruction of relationships, no matter how good, and push someone away. I've seen it, I've experienced it where women, part of, breakups happen because of work and shit, and I've seen it, I've heard it happen time and time again where it led to fissures or a even greater division in relationship, especially if money's involved. Oh, especially if money is involved. Children, it'll once again bring stress down on the kids, and then kids don't understand. It's just like, why is mommy all of a sudden just snapping and nagging and saying all this and that and going off on us? Because she's not handling it very well. She's stressed out, she's clearly not following her passion, or even if it's her passion, maybe she's passionate about it, but she underestimated how much work was actually involved into making it successful. So she might want to do this as a hobby or temporarily, but she finds out this is not for her. To the rest of the world, this is a woman who, she's not bad. She's got to learn to breathe, calm down, it'll be better. If, and finally, she happy? Obviously, she's not happy. You can't be happy if you're stressed out all the damn time. So, if you're ever dealing with a woman who deals with anxiety a lot, if you care about her, calm her down, to calm her down. Get her to think about it. Get her to see. If you can, help take the burden off of her, and especially if she's a manager, she's a boss, because sometimes you got to console your higher ups if you work under her. Befriend her. Let her know that you're there for her. You know what I'm saying? Um, she's the type that needs support. She needs validation, but not like an ego thing to make let her know that everything's gonna be okay. Things are gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. If she's mad, it's temporary. Don't stress out about it. So there's that. Um, let's get it done. Go get her. Go get her. This is one of the simplest. If she's a go getter, let's get it done. That's a woman, another wife material one. Now I'm gonna put a disclaimer on this one. She will push you. She will definitely push you. It's like, have you ever dealt with any female animals that are just like get like, let's say it was a horse and she was just like boom out the gate, ready to just go in there get it done. This is the kind of one that's like boom, 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 boom. She's a mover. She all over the place. Now, a certain type of personality's got to vibe with that. But if your personality can vibe with that, then you got a good one right there. With their kids, the same way. This might be Tiger Mom. This is a woman that means the best, but she has to understand that the world isn't going to bend to a woman. It's not going to necessarily move at the pace that she wants. Um, she's definitely passionate. A woman like this, oh, she's definitely passionate. Her relation to the world, she might be misunderstood. It's very possible until people get to know her. So she's got to be self aware and wary of how she's presenting herself. She can't let her passion overtake and cause a misconstrued perception of herself. And as far as unhappiness, she's as long as she's not focused so totally, kind of like the career woman. If she doesn't become obsessed with it, oh, it's great. But when she starts becoming obsessed, that unhappiness level begins to rise. We're almost on the home stretch now. Why, and coming at number 8, why is there so much work left? Oh, this is definitely one woman you don't really want around, and you don't want dealings with. Like, it's putting unnecessary pressure on you, nagging in a relationship. those relationships are rocky. You're not going to last. There's going to be fighting. Because there's always expectations and it's always projection on someone else. Why don't you help get it done? You have two hands. You have a mouth to speak. You have energy. Clearly, help with us get it done. I understand that this is a project. Now, it's one thing to keep them in check because one thing I would definitely respect about women is when they're able to convey, like, yo, this shit needs to get done. And it's the same thing as a man. And sometimes they're better at it than men because they notice the details. But some of them be doing the most with it, though. Like putting too much work and too much burden. And they do it with children. Um, I can't say they're necessarily passionate about what they do. And as far as unhappiness in relation to the world, they're just somewhere in the nebulous middle. They're living an okay life, sure. Um, but I can't say that they're definitely fulfilling out their grand potential. Coming down the home stretch, it's just a job. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the classic case of a settler. She's going to settle in her relationships because she's going to screw up multiple ones and then she's going to find one who fits whatever limited scope. She can have the greatest man right there, but he's going to be too good for her and she just settles. Her world is small. Children, she has them. She's going to mama hen them too much. Passion, whatever she's passionate about, maybe just one thing. She finds that she's good at something, or she grew up doing something. Maybe her dad did something, her mama taught her a skill. She grew up playing with her brothers and sisters, whatever the case may be, and she likes that, and she goes into that. And so jobs are just jobs to help sustain while she just works on whatever side project she does because she would prefer to do that all day, but she's got to keep the lights on, keep mouths fed, all that kind of stuff. Um, Reaction with the world, she once again is a small bubble type world. She doesn't interact much. You'll see a lot of these on online dating sites, seriously, especially if they're single moms. And lastly, is she happy? It's Russian roulette. It's a wild card. Depends on the woman. Some of them can be happy and content. Others, most of them, not really. And they seem fine at first, and then you start finding stuff out about them, or they find things out about them because real recognizes real, or when in the face of real, in the face of adversity, truth will be discovered. They might be used to bullshit, or they may be used to having everyone outside their bubble, but when somebody starts to invade that space, all the insecurities start coming out. So the happiness level is probably not honestly there. And last but certainly not least, I want a job that makes me happy. This is usually said by young ladies, and it's a dangerous one. Or it's in a woman who is in a transitional period of her life and does not know what the fuck she wants. There's nothing wrong inherently with the statement, we don't think. But what are the ramifications? She's probably not going to want a relationship. Been there multiple times. Kids, if she doesn't already have them, she's putting them on the back burner. Been there multiple times with your women and their discussion. Passion, she wants to find this ethereal whatever it is. As far as in relation with the world, it's in flux. It's She's trying to form the world to her image of what she wants it, not realizing that that's not how the world works. More than likely, you're going to be formed by it to some degree. And last but certainly not least, what makes her happy? She's trying to find it, whatever it is. I want to be happy, so I, it's not where it's at. Um, you know, Women in work, it's when you're a man trying to understand this. See, a lot of men don't try to understand this, and this is where they have the issues. I don't have it. In fact, I very much enjoy working with most of my female coworkers as much as my male coworkers. In fact, a lot of times more. I end up having some great conversations and whatnot. And some of my best friends have come in that way, or some good friends. And so I'm good with either sex, to be honest with you. You just got to understand that if you're a dude, if you're a man, that women aren't going to operate in the same way. And it's not just because they have a vagina, it's because of their sense of who they are, their perspectives are different. And if you're a woman, you watch all this, I give you credit. But understand that how you interact with the world is not how men perceive it. It's just the way it is. I expect one to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. I know this video is lengthy, but it's a deep conversation. There's a lot to be said about this, and probably a hell of a lot more, to be honest with you. I'm not shocked that it was longer than my male version because men, again, are simpler. Just the nature of the beast. All right, y'all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace. And if there's any other suggestions for any other topics, let me know, and we'll try to see if we can get that done. Stay safe out there, y'all.